Thanks, Fiona. Before I begin, I need to show you our forward-looking statement, as Salesforce is a publicly traded company. We may make some statements in this presentation that are future focused, but customers should base their purchasing decisions on the products and services that are currently available in the region. All right, now we've got the boring stuff out of the way. On behalf of salesforce.org, I'd like to say a big thank you both for joining us today and for the important work that you all do in our community. I work for salesforce.org, and if you aren't familiar with us, we are the social impact center of Salesforce. We build powerful technology for and with our community of nonprofit and education organizations. With their guidance, our solutions are tailored to their unique needs, helping them operate effectively, raise funds, and connect. At a time when our communities need us more than ever, our technology allows us to build resilience and maximize social impact. Our nonprofit industry solutions sit on top of the world's #1 CRM platform and power many of the world's leading mission-driven organizations. So what can we expect today? Well, you have an agenda up there in front of you. In a moment, we're going to hear from the Giving Block, who are going to talk to us about crypto and NFT giving trends. We're then going to have a panel discussion, which I'm going to host, which is going to be about emerging fundraising trends. And then, of course, we'll have time for an audience Q&A. You will see some poll questions pop up during those sessions, so please take a moment to fill those out and give us your answers. All right, let's jump in. The last 2 years have seen a significant shift in the way consumers engage. Excuse me. That's a good start. The way consumers engage online with the charities they support. And because of these new behaviors, nonprofits are looking to find an edge in the digital space, learning more about crypto and NFTs and how to create and leverage compelling online experiences to maximize donor engagement. We'll be working through some of the key questions around these issues today, giving you some practical tips along the way. But before we do that, I want to hand over to Dan Coleman from the Giving Block, who's joining us all the way from the USA to share some of the key trends that he has been seeing in the crypto and NFT space. Over to you, Dan.
Good morning, Jason, and thank you for the introduction. And hello, everyone. It's a thrill to be with you. I'm in San Francisco today, which is actually sunny, though Carla the Fog is now here and has joined us. So let's talk trends. We can go on to the next slide. So a couple of things. Last year was a banner year in crypto fundraising and NFT fundraising. A lot of things on this slide. We're going to dial in very quickly, so bear with me. So we have over 295 million crypto holders worldwide. That means individual wallets created holding cryptocurrencies or even NFTs inside of them. Next up, the average crypto user today is now in their early 30s, and the average income is over 100,000. This is a well-to-do crowd and a young and actually a very diverse crowd as well. And then in 2021, the Giving Block facilitated directly 12.3 million in NFTs, which was a field that didn't exist a few years ago in terms of philanthropy. So just extraordinary results there, as well as over just about 70 million in total donations processed last year in 2021. And we noted that the average donation size is 10,500. And so for most, this is in USD. Thank you for asking that, Velvet Bell. I'm glad you did. And so for most organizations, that's around a major gift. 10,000 is usually about the average major gift size. So it's important to look at this asset class. I like to tell folks it's similar to cash in that it moves as quick as cash, but it's much like a stock in the way a lot of countries tax it. So it just depends on your local tax regulations, but it's an incredible asset class. Next up, a lot of people are like talking about what's going on in the crypto NFT space. It's a bear market, a lot of crash flow. What's interesting here, and I'll just give you the really high level stats here. In 2021, Q1 and Q2 of the year, that was a great year. You'll see a lot of green, a lot of high mountain cliffs there. The market was performing quite well. And we processed about $10 million in fundraising gifts to organizations like yours through crypto. If you look at this year, you see a lot of cliffs going in the down direction, a lot of red on that chart, and we processed 3 times the volume in the same time period. And it's very interesting seeing that philanthropy is absolutely alive and well, even in a down market, if not even better. And so now is the time to be having this discussion about the future of philanthropy, about crypto and NFTs. And that's kind of the high level there. Next up, for those of you who are hearing about Bitcoin and the cost of Bitcoin, and now it's down, should we accept crypto, should we not? Here's the thing. I'm a career philanthropy veteran. I worked in the performing arts, in orchestras all over the United States, from the Cleveland Orchestra to the San Francisco Symphony, leading big fundraising shops. And the truth is that you never know when someone bought Bitcoin. And as you see here in the Bitcoin position chart here, if you got in 2013 and bought it for $115, you'll see then if you fast forward to the market value at 20,000, you're still up today. And Bitcoin has come up and down multiple times. And this is just one of many cryptocurrencies that exist. So you never know the position that the person is in which they're holding this crypto and when they might part with you for either a capital gains or cap loss, depending on your tax policies. But you never know. And so the end result is that people are in, people have money, and they're quite wealthy in the crypto space. So it's just an incredible time to be alive. Next up, and I'm going really fast, so bear with me, everyone. The future of NFT philanthropy. And this is what's so cool. These are active links on this page that you are welcome to click on and check out later when you get the slides. This takes you to how we valued the future of the NFT field. We never thought NFTs would be, philanthropic 5 years ago when NFT was just a concept being presented on the Bitcoin blockchain, actually, of all places. It ended up becoming an Ethereum development. In just a short few years, 12.3 million in 2021 was donated when it was an asset class that didn't exist as a philanthropic vehicle, a few years prior. And so now looking out into the future, we're projecting that, in this year, 2022, you'll see that as we go forward in a couple year increment by 2025, we get all the way to about 100 million in actual contributions that'll be processed because of NFT collections to charities like yours. So it's definitely an asset class to be paying attention to. These are projections. And so, like everything, they are projections. So keep that in mind, but it is an up and up, and it's going to be a lot of potential. One of the biggest drivers of success right now in crypto philanthropy is actually NFTs, even in a down market. And it's just really cool to see. So much can come. And just so everyone knows, NFT stands for Non-fungible token, and we can get into all the fun of that in a little bit. And then last up, a couple of quick things I wanted to share with everybody this morning. So first of all, think about it like this: the bear market, and as we look forward, crypto holders who are up, they're really going to drive that revenue in the short term, like right now. The folks that have bought Bitcoin super early and can part with it and still, have a lot of upward momentum, and it's worth much more than they bought it, they're going to be able to support your organization today. The thing is if you bought recently and now you're way down, well, you might not be able to part with or want to part with your crypto right now, but they're going to likely drive revenue for your organization outward into the future a few years, or maybe a few months, depending on the market and how it goes for Q3 and Q4 this year. It's interesting because of the most successful programs on our platform at the Giving Block, small or large, they have typically focused on growing the crypto donor base during down markets and actually taking this time to build relationships rather than just wait till the market's up to get active and get gifts. So an important strategy of getting involved and getting active now. Many investors are up and also many are down. I know it's silly to say that, but it's important to keep in mind. But giving is continuing to happen, and it's continuing to grow just a little less quickly right now than we might normally see. It is a little quieter in the crypto world, though crypto is changing hands. We are seeing big purchases happening, but still a little quieter. And what that means for your organization is now is a great time to reach out to an NFT collection or to reach out to a crypto donor or crypto whale, as we call them. The crypto whale stands for someone who's quite rich in crypto, has quite a bit in their bag, which is also referred to as like a wallet. So they might have a lot of money, or crypto in this case. And so now's a great time to start reaching out and building those relationships. And then lastly, building that base, building those relationships now is a great strategy for long-term revenue. If you're interested, and this is not a sales pitch, I'm not a salesperson. I work with organizations like you on how to fundraise crypto. You can talk to our sales team at the book a demo link here. I'm happy to drop that link in the chat, but just plugging that out here. And now I will kick this back over to you, Jason.
Thanks, Dan. You certainly covered a lot of ground in a very short amount of time. So hopefully we'll have an opportunity to dig into some more of those topics as we get into our panel session. So I'd like to welcome back our panelists who Fiona had introduced earlier. And while you're just familiarizing yourself with those panelists, we have the results from our first question. And as you can see there, there's a lot of people who are not quite sure which channel they're considering, but live stream fundraising seems to be the channel that people are most interested in at this point in time. It'll be interesting to see how that moves as we move through the sessions today. So let's start with cryptocurrency. Dan gave us a quick but thorough rundown and an outline of where the market might sit currently. You'll also see we have question number 2 has popped up on your screen, so feel free to answer that as well. But we have Matt with us from MSF. And Matt, I did stalk your session at the Fundraising Institute of Australia conference a couple of weeks ago. And I know that you have had significant success in cryptocurrency and told a story of one of the biggest donations, or probably the biggest donation that we've seen here in Australia from cryptocurrency. So I'll start with you. And the question I have for you is, where do you think the opportunities lie currently for organizations? And why should they consider accepting cryptocurrency donations?
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, the opportunities are basically dependent upon your organization. So you might be a small regional charity and you might determine that crypto isn't going to be the best option for you. You might be a large international organization. So one of the biggest things is going to be identifying who is going to possibly support your charity and why crypto is important. It's basically, I view it as just a really important payment gateway. It's a way to allow your supporters to support you in a way that they can't do financially. So maybe they want to lower their capital gains. Maybe they've got a small amount of crypto that they're looking to give to you. There could be a wide range of reasons. You might get a brand new donor who is really looking to donate to environmental cause or any particular cause, and you might be the only charity that is accepting cryptocurrency. So it's just a really great opportunity to get out in front of a new emerging market, like Dan mentioned. Some stats: 79% male, 21% female, 58% under the age of 34, 82% with bachelor's degrees or higher, and 36% with over $100,000 per year USD income. So it's somewhere to be. It doesn't mean that every success story is going to happen for you, but if you're in it, you can get those big gifts.
I'm not quite sure. Has Matt frozen there for us for a second?
Can you hear me?
I can now, yes.
Sorry, did I freeze?
You may have.
Okay.
So just, I guess, a follow-up question, and we may also look for Dan's view on this as well, is you talked a little bit there about the demographics that you're seeing from crypto donors, and you referenced there a couple of specific causes they may be interested in. What sort of organizations are most likely to benefit from crypto donations at the moment? Dan, are you seeing any trends in terms of the types of causes, the types of organizations, maybe the types of brands that are attracting crypto donations?
Yeah, it's a good question, Jason. I think, first of all, I'm remiss to forget to mention that we work with Matt at Médecins Sans Frontières, as well as, and forgive my French, it's terrible, and Zunilka at UNICEF Australia. We're proud to be their partners. And we have an integration with Salesforce coming online in the next couple of weeks or a month or two that we're all very, very excited about on our end. But to get back to your question that you asked, Jason, I think, clients large and small, local and international, are seeing great success depending on how active they are and how serious they take this opportunity. I mean, I think if you just get out there and say, we're going to take crypto, it's a way to support our mission, that's great. Because, I was joking off the record, but I'll say it here, like, you don't want to have your charity in the Stone Age, right? Crypto's around. It's now a $1 trillion asset class. In some months, it's a $3 trillion asset class when it goes up. And so I think you've got to keep that in mind. Like, it's another way to support your mission. So you don't want to be unaware or unavailable or unable to accept it. And then when you look at the potential, we're seeing organizations that have seen 7-figure growth because they're out there raising money. They're making NFT collection connections. They're really taking this serious to fuel their mission. And so I think, you know, international definitely appeals, but we're seeing people in remote parts of the world give crypto to organizations that are also regional or local because they're inspired to support the mission.
And Matt, in your experience, where have you seen the donations coming from? And you know, maybe it's worth giving a little bit of background for some of the people on the call. They may not be aware of, you know, the pretty big story that came out of MSF around your large donation. But what, if any, information do you have around the donors, and what information can you share about where perhaps some of that marketing should be targeted?
Sure. Yeah. So first, I'll just touch on the gift. So in October of last year, we received what is believed to be the largest gift ever from the proceeds of an NFT artwork sale. The donor he is looking to remain anonymous, so I can't share any information about him, but I have a quote from him. He said, "As soon as I saw that MSF accepts crypto, I knew this was 100% the right place to give it to. You help people on both sides of a conflict, regardless of politics, because we are all humans. And that's the most beautiful thing. And I can 100% stand behind that. You take extreme care to get this right and to stay impartial. And an important consideration for me was that I would probably only get to do something like this once in my life. And I wanted to be sure about the choice I made, not wondering afterwards if I could have spent it better." So those are his words of why he chose to give to us. Had we not been in the crypto space, I have no doubt that money would have gone to someone else. You know, this was a person looking to make a contribution to a charity, and we were in the right place at the right time and able to accept crypto. So it's one of those things where it doesn't mean you're always going to get a huge gift, but if you're set up, if you do the right things, you're on the sites, you know, people can find you. And the key is just knowing who you are and who you're trying to target. And more so than necessarily trying to find the donors, just letting it be known out there that your charity accepts crypto. Depending on what country you're in, you can get tax benefits for donating that as well.
And Matt, I'm sure most of the people that are joining us today are keen to know exactly how much that donation was.
Yeah, sorry, I should have mentioned that. It was about 4.78 million Australian. So it was given in USD, obviously. So it was 3.3 million USD, and at the time that was about 4.78 million Australian.
And I'm guessing your ROI on your crypto campaign would have been given a little bit of a boost by that donation.
Just a touch. Luckily, though, even without that gift, we have been successful even without the large gift. We see, you know, a vast majority of the donations we get come through anonymous. That's something you can turn on or off with the giving block. So if you're not comfortable accepting an anonymous gift, you can do that. We've had the legal opinions done, and we're comfortable accepting anonymous gifts, knowing that if, you know, something weird came up, we could look into it. But for us, we see a range of countries. They've mostly been new donors. I think we've seen 1 or 2 people who are currently in our database give in crypto, but it's mostly completely new donors and ranging amounts from $1 to 4.8 million.
Thanks, Matt. I might bring in Z now for a question as well. So Dan talked a little bit earlier in his presentation about the fluctuation of crypto and the fact that we're in a bear market for Bitcoin at this point in time. You're quite early in your exploration of crypto. What considerations do you have? You know, has the volatility of the market, has the current price sort of impacted the way that you're viewing the opportunity?
No, absolutely not. I think for us, you know, the timely adoption of new technologies is really critical to the success of UNICEF's work. And so, you know, even though as UNICEF Australia, we're at the beginning of our journey, UNICEF has been accepting crypto donations since 2019. We actually have a crypto fund that keeps crypto in crypto. And we invest in early stage startups in blockchain and AI technologies. For us, from an Australian perspective, our strategy is not to hold crypto, but to convert it into fiat, USD, pretty much within a week or within the month, depending on how much is in our wallet. Our appetite for risk is a little bit different within this market, but yes, we are at the beginning of our journey, but there's a lot of great learnings that we've had from many of the UNICEF offices, primarily from the US and France. And we also see the opportunities of crypto and blockchain in helping us solve that last mile. For those that don't know, it's essentially, how can we track that one vaccine goes to a particular child in a particular region of the world? If we keep things on chain, it's fully transparent, and we try and have transparency in everything that we do. But the minute it goes off chain, it's really hard to track, and a lot of organizations are facing that challenge. So we see there could be great opportunity for us to track that last mile, so we can see where your donation goes from point of delivery to anywhere around the world. So yeah, it's an exciting space, and we're really grateful to be working with the Giving Block in helping us navigate this wild world.
Fantastic. Well, today's presentation, while crypto makes up a significant portion of that, and it's been great to hear a little bit about that. We also want to look at some other trends that we're seeing emerging. And one of the things that we hear a lot of talk about is Web3. And so for those in the audience that may not be familiar with Web3 and what it's all about, I'm just going to call on Emma now, if you want to give us just an outline of what Web3 is and how organizations might engage with it.
Yeah, absolutely. So to understand Web3, it's good to start with Web 1 and 2. So Web 1, think early internet, the first internet. It was read-only. You didn't have the ability to interact with anything really significantly, all web pages, mainly very static. Then we moved to Web 2. That's moving from read-only to read and write. So it's the internet we know today. Rich websites, interactive platforms, think video streaming, social media. And then we have what everyone's talking about now, which is Web 3.0. So Web 3, this transforms, I guess, internet with the way we know it today from read and write to read, write, and own. So this is the next generation of the internet. It incorporates the concept of decentralization, and it leverages blockchain technology. And the real value with Web3 is that users fully own and control their own data. So that's the own part of it. And Web3 enables a lot of what we're talking about today. So crypto, NFTs, metaverse, decentralized apps and decentralized organizations. So all of what we're going over today.
Fantastic. So one of the things that you referenced there, Emma, was the metaverse, and I'm sure that people who are joining us today will have questions about the metaverse and where those opportunities lie. So I'm going to call on Shane. Shane, if you can chuck your camera on for us, tell us a little bit about the metaverse.
Yeah, sure. So morning, everyone. I'm Shane from Cure Cancer. Yeah, I suppose I'm probably a bit biased in my perspective, coming with such a long background in gaming. Like, where I see the metaverse is also kind of around how is enterprise and companies and corporates trying to access the digital space in a way that makes the most sense for them. Whereas when I think about digital spaces that already exist and people are gathering together, sharing thoughts, ideas, engaging with one another, gaming's been doing that for, more than a decade at this point. So yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting to see where enterprise enters the metaverse space. Obviously, there's a lot of big players like Google and Facebook and Xbox and Epic Games, already with Fortnite having staking claim to the fact that they already have the metaverse up and running. Yeah, so I think there's going to be a lot of competition in the space. It'll be interesting to see how enterprise tackles it in a way that might not be inherently tied to gaming. Oh, Jason, I think you're still on mute.
Jason, I think you're on mute.
Someone was bound to do it, and it just happened to be me. So one of the other topics that we've heard referenced in our in the conversation so far has been NFT, or non-fungible tokens. it's fair to say that NFTs have an interesting reputation. So I might call on you, Emma, again, just to give us an outline of what you would define NFTs as, and sort of where you see them as having some utility for for those joining us today.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there are a lot of comments, and I'm sure everyone listening has heard this before, that it's just a JPEG and I can copy it and save it. But what NFTs actually are, they're the non-fungible tokens, and they're authentically guaranteed. So yes, you might have a picture of the Mona Lisa, but there's only one Mona Lisa. So it's really giving digital assets proof of ownership that cannot be copied, cannot be tampered with. And secondly, it gives the creator future value. So if an artist sells a real life painting and then it gets continuously sold over and over again, they don't get any benefit from that. Whereas with an NFT, an example is the original artist can write a cut into the smart contract. So as it sells over and over, they're getting that benefit. So it's really disrupting the way things are currently being done, giving value back to the creator. So that's just a little high level overview of, I guess, what an NFT is and why it's not just a JPEG. And it really opens up, new opportunities for new experiences, new products. And I guess in the not-for-profit space, you can have different levels of exposure or involvement to this NFT world. One, you could simply just accept NFT donations. There are a lot of valuable NFT projects out there. Two, you can connect and partner with an NFT project. There have been cases, and I'm sure many listening have heard, where NFT projects donate a portion of their proceeds to the charity, and they write it again into the smart contract. So every time that NFT is sold, a portion of the sale continuously can go to that charity. And then thirdly, and I guess the more exciting and potentially more developed idea, if you're further on the journey in this Web3 space, you can even create NFTs. And in addition to creating an NFT and raising that money we're talking about, NFTs can also have utility. So for example, a community membership, for example, which unlocks certain benefits or experiences to the owners of your NFT that are all in line with your mission and your organizational values, of course. But this shouldn't be overlooked, because NFTs, a really big part about it is community. And every organization listening in today, I'm sure, has a very passionate and active community. So 3 ways you can kind of tap into NFTs just there, Jason.
That's fantastic. So we're just going to pivot now to live streaming. So, and I'm going to call on Shane, because I know that you've been doing a bunch of work there with Cure Cancer in the live streaming space. And live streaming obviously was gaining momentum well and truly before COVID, but COVID certainly gave it a shot in the arm. Yes, that pun was intended. But Shane, tell us a little bit about what the space looks like, how you're engaging with it, and for those organizations that perhaps haven't viewed that community as one that they could leverage. What does it look like? What's the profile of the streamers who are making a contribution to charitable organizations?
Yeah, sure. So there's a couple of things there. I think the main thing for us is, one, it was certainly helpful during the pandemic and lockdown, when traditional physical events and community fundraisers couldn't go ahead, and we see a lot of those pivot to become a digital version of themselves. But gaming is inherently digital anyway, so we have this fantastic community of creators and streamers going live and fundraising for a variety of different causes. I always like to point to Extra Life, a charitable organization over in the States, who's been doing this since 2008, and just last year passed $100 million raised for children's hospitals all over the country. So yeah, it's been happening for a really long time. I suppose to answer the question around why I would recommend it or why is it important, I think that when you're looking at the way that gaming is going and the demographics at play, there are 17 million people in Australia who engage in gaming in some kind of way. The average age of the gamer here in Australia is going up each year as well. So we're seeing a maturation of that audience who grew up with gaming continue to game into their adulthood. So I think a lot of the customers that various different charitable organizations in the country are targeting probably gaming in some way. And just on live streaming, there's so much creativity in that space on how these people fundraising can contribute to the organization. And you also you have access to these streamers and creators from all over the world, not just locally as well. So that's one of the key benefits of fundraising via live streaming.
And Shane, when we think about live streaming and those that are making donations, obviously we're aware of gamers that sort of tends to make up a large portion of those. We've seen that happen in poker as well. We've seen some large donations come from that community. But there are also a bunch of other communities who live stream and are making donations. So can you just talk about a couple of those? Outside of gaming, what other communities exist?
Yeah, sure. Plenty. And they're incredibly talented and creative as well, just like the gaming side of things. So one of our ambassadors, Miss Molly Make, she's a Twitch streamer, but most of her streaming, like 3 days a week, is cooking. So she has this fantastic kitchen setup with a green screen behind her. And she did a fundraiser for us recently where she changed costumes based on, different fundraising milestones she hit. Another creator that we know that worked with us closely just this past month was fundraising for Red Bull a couple of months ago for the Wings for Life Foundation. And her personal trainer jumped on the treadmill for 12 hours, sort of tag teaming and fundraising that way as well. So yeah, there's a variety of different communities, cooking, creation, arts, music as well. You see live performances, DJs as well, fundraising on Twitch. So yeah, it is not just gaming that encompasses live streaming.
And just a final question for you, Shane. So lots of people in this call, this will be relatively new information to them. They want to start maybe in the research phase of understanding those communities. Where should they go? What's the technology they should be using? What site should they be going to? What should they be searching?
Yeah, so I'll rattle off a couple. Firstly, if you just want to understand the gaming side of things, I'd recommend the Digital Australia Report 2022. This is put together by the IGEA, our industry body here locally. It gives fantastic insights into the local gaming demographic and how that compares to other activities and hobbies in the space. And I think there's a lot to be learnt there. In terms of technology, platforms like Tiltify are fantastic. This is a online fundraising platform that a lot of creators use. They have fantastic integration with a platform like Twitch and YouTube, where you make a donation, it appears live on screen for the creator to see, and they can thank them. It can trigger certain things in the game or as part of the fundraiser as well. Yeah, and then I'll just plug as well, Salesforce are a fantastic partner to help in this space. We've been working with them for a really long time. And if you'd like to learn more about anything that we're doing in the space, then yeah, please reach out. gameoncancer.com.au is our website. You can see what we've been doing as well.
And I'd like to confirm Shane was definitely not paid for this presentation. So that plug came free of charge. So I just want to let people know that we've probably got about 5 minutes left in the panel discussion. We're just going to go around the room for some final thoughts, but we're then going to go to the audience Q&A. So don't wait. If you've got questions, pop them in the chat. And we'll get to audience Q&A shortly. So just to finish up, I thought we would go around the group just with a single question, which is, we've got lots of people in the room today, lots of people at various stages of their journeys. What advice would you give them? I mean, we're going to start with you, Z. You've done extensive work with UNICEF in understanding where these opportunities lie. What advice would you give to an organization just starting off on where they should do their research and what they should be looking at?
I think the biggest thing is understanding, what is important to your business, because every organization is different. But I think we've ascertained that now more than ever, innovation is really critical to building a better world for children and humanity. And if we can, we must all try and work collectively together to act fast, to design and really scale up transformational solutions that can give future generations an opportunity to thrive, to make sure that no one gets left behind. Because as we all kind of charge towards, this Web3 in the metaverse, there's still a lot of people being left behind. And, it'd be great to see how we can collectively work together in order to create a digital world for everyone.
What a great thought. Shane, how about you?
Yeah, I think the advice I'd give is obviously do your research, network, attend, webinars like this to learn more, particularly on live streaming and gaming. It's a thriving industry, but I would say it's very particular in the sense that it requires a lot of energy to do, or to really leverage and take advantage of it to its full extent. like in the way that an organization like Extra Life is. So really consider your resources and consider all other opportunities as well, like Cure Cancer. We're definitely in that investigative stage of NFTs and cryptocurrency, just seeing what the opportunity is and whether it's something we move forward on. And we decided a few years ago that was right for gaming after dabbling in the space. So yeah, I would recommend a couple of tests and trials, definitely connect and network, and yeah, see if it's right for your organization, and is it the type of customer that you're looking for as well? Does it fit in with your overall mission?
Fantastic. Emma, what advice do you have?
Yeah, I'm going to jump off the back of Z's advice, in the sense that my advice would be try and have an open mind and a really growth mindset when you're approaching this topic. We are really early. There are a lot of challenges that we still have to solve, but honestly, there are so many positive impacts or potential to make positive impacts to the world with this technology. In fact, the World Economic Forum is looking at how blockchain technology can actually help underdeveloped countries and marginalized members of society in things like health, communication, supply chains, and even connecting millions of unbanked people to access finance. So, if today sparked interest, I really encourage you to go out there, like Shane said, get learning, get educating, attend webinars like this, and just continue the education journey.
Great advice. Matt, what do you think?
I might just jump in off of Emma's point as well. So the 3 top countries by crypto ownership percentage of population are actually Ukraine, Russia, and Kenya. So not countries that you would have expected going into that. So really important to think about how this allows people in unstable environments to send money freely and safely. But I mean, the advice that I would give for organizations listening today is get your own legal opinion first, get your own financial opinions first, weigh the risks and weigh the options for you. Think about your donor base. And then you might want to set up your own personal wallet where you manage the wallet yourself. You might want to hold coins and speculate and see if they go up and go down. MSF, we use the Giving Block, and we're really fortunate to have experts to work with. So, they take some of that nitty-gritty stuff away from us, and we choose to have all of our assets sold on acceptance of them, the same as all of our other previous existing policies. So we don't really view crypto as much of a new space for us. It's just a new payment gateway for us to fall within our current structures. So there's a lot of different ways you can think about it from your organization to make it work. It definitely will have some challenges for you, but also important is just to keep an eye out in your organization for people with ideas, because it might not be someone in a senior leadership position with this idea. It might be an officer, someone young who plays video games or comes to you with this great idea. So just keeping in mind and listening when you hear a great idea and thinking about ways you can explore it.
That's great advice, Matt. Final thoughts from you, Dan?
Wow, this is great. First of all, everybody's advice, I second, third, and fourth. There's a lot of great feedback on this call. I think innovation takes risk. It takes willingness to try something new. It takes willingness to fail, because quite frankly, if you're new to crypto, these are younger, more diverse donors. And quite frankly, if you're used to fundraising like I was, we had a whiter, older, very straight audience. And it was hard to reach those donors unless you knew to talk to that specific crowd. And if you want to reach a younger, more diverse crowd that's on the up and up and reflects more of the world, this is the space for you. Crypto, NFTs, gaming is very interesting, very young, very diverse, but it's going to take a new skill set, and you're probably going to make mistakes. So you have to be willing to kind of get out there, learn, get with great folks around you, do your research, take a look into all of the things that are out there. And the other thing I'd say is make sure you take a look at your gift acceptance policies and your investment policies before you get too far down the rabbit hole of crypto and NFTs. There's a lot of implications on the tax side for nonprofits in various countries the world over. And you want to make sure, you understand your tax rules and how it's handled, how your organization is going to handle the receipting, the whole process. We obviously have a solution for that, but there's many other solutions. So I highly recommend you do your research and work, talk to others in the field. And, at the end of the day, take a risk. I mean, you could be like Matt and end up with 3.5 million in your pocket. And a few days later, it happens.
I can only hope that it happens to all of you. So some great advice there from our panelists. But now time for those who have joined us in the audience to ask some questions. So I'm going to hand back to Fiona, who's going to facilitate that Q&A. Thanks, everyone.
Lovely. Thank you, Jason. Hopefully you can all see and hear me. That was really fascinating. Thank you, everyone. Super grateful to have all of your insights there. Before we get stuck into the questions, I will just point out to everyone that there's been a couple of links to some great resources added to the chat box. So just jump in there and copy and paste those. A couple of really great reports there that will help people do some research. There are a couple of questions that have made their way into the chat box as well. So I'll start with those. A question from Zoe, who would love some tips on how to let people know you accept crypto donations and that you're in the crypto space, and a few tips about what to do to set up what you need to do to accept crypto donations. So how do you let your donors know, and how do you set up for crypto?
I wouldn't mind jumping in just from a marketing perspective. That's my trade for like the awareness piece, or letting your community know that you're accepting them. If you do go down that avenue and you are accepting them, it should definitely be considered, or I guess included in your marketing and comms plan to really get that out there. Of course, start making it known, posting on your website, your donation page, start including it in SEO efforts from that marketing perspective. But I guess looking outside of these, and specifically to social media for awareness, leveraging existing social channels that you're probably already on, the traditional channels. So Twitter and YouTube are huge mainstream platforms where a lot of the crypto community are present, engaged, and really involved in. And then also educating yourself about other social channels that are popular in the crypto community, but you might not be active in or even heard of. So there's Discord, there's Telegram, just thinking about leveraging existing social channels, to get your message out. But then I think it was Matt or someone said before about a lot of the donors are new or haven't donated to you before. So trying to meet them where they like to engage in their social channels as well is something to consider.
Awesome. Thank you, Emma. And has anybody got a comment on just getting set up to accept crypto donations? I think we've probably covered that off a bit, but just a quick comment on that from anyone on the panel.
Yeah, I'll jump in. So my quick recommendation, this is coming from somebody who was pushing NFTs on an organization before I became a crypto fundraising strategist, which was a role that didn't exist a year ago on the planet. Just very interesting enough, you're going to need a wallet to accept the crypto, because crypto comes through the blockchain to your wallet. But quite frankly, most organizations should not manage their own wallet. They should have it auto converted. Everything should be going to cash to your organization, because a lot of times these assets are treated by the government as non-cash assets. So you want to look at your gift acceptance policies at the same time. Make sure you know how you hold it, how you invest it, do you sell it? All that stuff should be worked out. But get with a good provider. Giving Block is one that's out there that you can look up. We're no pressure. We'll talk to you if you're interested, but definitely do your research. Don't just jump in and get going, because you got to make sure you're in line with policies and governmental rules and policies as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Dan. A question here from Charlene. She directs this to Matt and anyone else on the panel who can jump in. How did you navigate or build a case for support to accept NFT and crypto where there are issues of ethical risk or focus ethical investment? So how did you convince the internal stakeholders, Matt?
So it was not easy. Took a while, a lot of approval process, but first thing we did was we sought a legal opinion from the lawyers that we use, and we were able to base that from a legal standpoint that we were happy. We went through the leadership team and our board, and that's pretty much the long and short of it. It took us around a year to get everything going, maybe even a little more, but just realizing how you're going to frame it in your organization. So with us keeping it in, we won't be holding any cryptocurrency assets. We're allowing people to take their crypto, sell it through the Giving Block. It will be immediately sold as it hits our wallet. So we're not ever holding any Bitcoin or Ethereum. We just get the proceeds. So we're just allowing a crypto user to sell their asset. And you can do it a million different ways. You could choose to have your own wallet and hold the coins. But for us, we just decided that the easiest way to do it was to stick within our current gift acceptance policies of we don't hold shares, we don't hold crypto, we don't hold assets. So if you leave us a home and a will, it will be sold. If you leave us shares in a will, and same with crypto. So we just keep everything in line with what was already in place. And that was the easiest way to get it through. But it's definitely not something that you're going to get through in 3-4 weeks. You need to start thinking now about how you'll get this through for next year.
Yeah. Okay. So plan ahead to get buy-in is the message here. There's a really interesting question here from Dominique, who asks about organizations with sustainability policies and how they can navigate accepting crypto given the amount of energy some platforms consume. And I know that that's a big one. So any thoughts on that?
I might hop in first here. Is one thing to always consider is that Bitcoin does dominate the conversation because it's the most known coin, and it has energy implications as everything does, and it's something, once again, as an organization you have to consider. Some stats I can give you is 78% of the energy used for Bitcoin is from renewable energies. So it's tough. It's something that you as an organization, you need to think about and weigh all the options. But traditional banking uses electricity. This webinar we're currently on is using electricity to be run. So it's just a realistic thing that you need to think about from your organization's point of view. And are you an environmental organization? Will this turn your donor base off? Will they see the fact that you're able to access new donors and get new money as worth the risk? And then also, you can accept cryptocurrency like we do without ever holding it. So we're only allowing people to sell it, which they would sell anyway. So there's lots of different ways to think about it.
Yeah, I would also add much of the crypto space, just to piggyback off Matt's comment, is moving to be more green and more energy efficient, as well as carbon offsets. We partner with Gemini, who has a carbon offset program for their wallets. They're just fantastic on that front from an exchange standpoint. They're also they also do extra regulation, which is interesting with the New York state. So definitely cool to check them out, do your own research on that wallet. But yeah, I would definitely say that the environmental impact is something we hear all the time. It's, you can't get around the past of the space, but when you look at gold, the harvesting of diamonds, when you look at the cash and the bank system and the way it impacts the world and also controls who has cash and how much of it moves and when, it's very different world in the crypto space. And I think it has the best promise for most sustainability in the future, but we certainly have a history that we need to do better by. I wouldn't cover that up. I wanted to go back real quick and say on the blockchain piece, if you were to get a crypto from a donor and you turn out to find out that this anonymous donor or donor is very nefarious, which is rare and probably not going to happen on the blockchain. But if it does happen, you can easily just send back the crypto because you have their wallet address. So you're always going to have access to the information and it's public record. So there's no hiding. And if you for some reason have to deny a gift, it's quite easy. You just send it right back.
Great, thank you. I'll move over to the Q&A box now, and I will mention that some of the questions, we will try and get to them and answer them live. Some have been answered already in writing, and I suggest people check those out because I suspect we may run out of time. So have a quick look at the questions that have been answered. We'll start with the ones that are still open. So a question here from Patrick, who asks how we should respond to criticisms that NFT is a scam, that it's a full scam, and does it have longevity? Thoughts?
I'll just quickly jump in and say I can understand why there's a perception, because I think there are some ridiculous amounts of NFTs right now. I mean, the amounts that some people are paying for these NFTs are exorbitant. So it's hard to cut through that noise sometimes and really understand that it's about the technology underpinning NFTs. So the actual technology behind it unlocks so many good use cases of how NFTs will be able to be used, or I guess the potential in the future. For example, just throwing out an example, event tickets. Event tickets, if they're an NFT, they can't be scalped. So I don't know how many times I've seen on social media where someone sold a ticket and then never got the original, and it's been awful. So there's music and art, for example, that you could do NFTs through. And then as they're sold continuously, like I mentioned before, we're rewarding the creator, which hasn't been done before. So I think sometimes this noise around the exorbitant values of NFTs for pictures and things like this really, I guess, overshadow the real potential they have to solve a lot of future problems using the technology. That's just my thoughts.
I'd also add, like, to Emma, that's brilliant. And I would add to it, like, the other thing I've seen is the tremendous philanthropy that occurs at minting, or what you might call first sale or second sale or resale. A lot of NFT projects will actually put the wallet address for a charity in their contract on the blockchain. And then every time an NFT is sold, a percentage goes to the charity, like that. Or they'll do, one lump sum gift at the end of the sales, like has happened to MSF Australia. That was so cool. And you just would be blown away by the amount of philanthropy happening. Like the women's rights movement right now in the US is seeing tremendous NFT philanthropy after the Roe v. Wade decision that came down, overturning that law in the US, for example. I know that's not Australia, but it's a good example of how the NFT space is rallying to, social causes and issues and helping, and things like that.
And one from me as well is just how important of this is NFTs from a community fundraising perspective. So as we're seeing regulations with COVID, people wearing masks, less people on the street, the thought of going to an art gallery, there will be a lot of people who were turned off by that. So this is a international online way to connect people throughout the world. And if you want to go in and make your own NFT, you can do that. You can donate proceeds of that to a charity. And as a charity perspective, you don't have to accept any NFTs. So MSF doesn't accept gifts of NFTs. We will allow you to nominate the proceeds of an NFT sale to us, but same with just think about your gift acceptance policy and how you can make that work for this.
Thanks, guys. We've got a couple more questions. We'll try and get through these ones before 11. So this is a question that's directed towards Shane from Georgie, who works at Variety, the children's charity. They're in year 1 of their live stream program and are finding acquisition of fundraisers very resource heavy with a low conversion rate. Do you have any tips or tricks here? Currently, they have a dedicated staff member engaging in streams and Twitter before a reach out EDM or direct mail.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. Thanks, Georgie. And this is what I was sort of hinting at when I mentioned earlier about considering what your organization's main goals, because we're finding it to be resource heavy. That's why we have 2 dedicated staff members at Cure Cancer managing the gaming space. Just quick tips and tricks. I would say that when we look at our most recent campaign that happened in April and May, we found that when creators come together as a team and fundraise, they do a lot better than just individual fundraisers. So particularly on Twitch, if you're looking at someone's profile, you might be able to see in their about section that they are part of a streaming team. You can click on that, see how many people are part of that stream. And then just searching that same user profile on Tiltify, see if that's the fundraising platform I mentioned earlier, see if they've done fundraising campaigns in the past for other organizations, and how did that perform. Before I joined the team in October last year, the team here were going out with generic DM messaging across Twitter. We had a really low conversion rate from the hundreds that we went out to. But then we decided to change tact, really focus on communicating with these creators online, live in chat when they're participating, getting to know them, and then inviting them in. Obviously, it takes a lot more energy, but we had a much higher conversion rate. We're talking about going from a 3% to roughly about a 30% conversion rate on our outreach, which was fantastic. And we find that because we're dedicated to this in the long haul as well, that we're retaining those people. They're coming back and fundraising for us again 6 months, 12 months later. So like I said, it's a big upfront investment in terms of time and energy, but we find that it's really working out for us because, for example, like you can go into our website and see that in gaming we've raised just over $500,000. Half of that has come in the last 12 months. So we're seeing really strong growth based on that new strategy that we're taking.
Awesome. Thanks, Shane. And I'm just going to keep you for a second. A question here from Karina, who asks about, what are your thoughts on organizing your own live stream activity within your charity, or is it best to partner with existing live stream content creators?
Yeah, I'd say tackling a live streaming event as an organization yourself would be difficult unless you have existing channels with strong followership. So if you have a YouTube channel with thousands of people subscribed already, then maybe that's something you can consider. Do you have the right technology to get a live stream up and happening, and what does the content look like? So that's definitely a possibility. but I would recommend going to creators and experts in the space, particularly partners as well. You can even look at like esports organizations that do fundraising as well. We've got a couple of partners we're working with at the moment. And then also like just as like to I suppose bring up a point that might create some thinking outside the box. I've seen zoos and like wildlife sanctuaries who just have a 24/7 camera on a little sanctuary of like wolf puppies, and that constantly has hundreds of people live watching, and they have a donate button there. So anyone on Twitch who's just looking to see like, you know, wolf puppies run around in their little sanctuary, they find that really engaging and entertaining, and then it might provoke some donations from that for people who want to support that organization. So that's just one way that like this, you know, this wildlife rescue organization is using live streaming and content creation to help facilitate or to gain support, I suppose.
And I might jump in and just add to that really quickly. We've dabbled a little bit in gaming live streaming. We won a AMCO event award actually for our Click for COVID stream that we did with Kathleen, who AKA is Loser Fruit for anyone in the gaming world. And just having a look at one of the questions in the chat, for us, we really feel that, you know, finding that content creator is key, but also ensuring that content creator is really passionate about your cause. Otherwise, it won't translate in terms of that passion on screen. So a couple of other learnings that we also found was just because, you know, we have ambassadors who are celebrity ambassadors outside of the gaming space, and just because they're big on, you know, TV or on the music chart or on the sporting field, it doesn't mean they're going to translate big in the gaming world. So, you know, if you are going to bring in those traditional ambassadors into the gaming space, you know, very much they need to be sort of with, you know, gamers who have big followings, because, you know, they won't just naturally migrate into the Twitch space. Other things that we found as well in terms of what sort of content really resonated in our stream is when we really created some gamification elements of tangible items. So as I mentioned, we did, it was around the first lockdown. And Loser Fruit did a really great stream where she did, you could donate towards specific items in the field. So whether it's PPE or soap or vaccines. And it was a really great kind of marketing thing as well to see which were the popular items that the crowd were, or the fans were donating towards. So, you know, I suppose you need to think about the stream a bit like a TV program. You know, need to be kind of thinking about the ebbs and flows. We went for 12 hours. It's probably, I would say, a bit too long for what it was. The bulk of the donations sort of came through around that 4 to 6 hour sort of mark. But yeah, so definitely look at, you know, what are the content creators passionate about, because that will come across for much better content and hopefully donations flowing through.
Great point. Thank you, Z. Now we have reached 11 o'clock. I think we should wrap up here. Maisa, Jackie and Aaron, I have seen your questions. I've copied them down and we will get those. Andy, I think you've just put one in as well. We will get those answered for you in the post webinar email that we're going to send out, and we will try and download there's some more questions coming through. We will try and download a transcript of the questions that were answered during the session as well, because I think you'll all find the answers really interesting. And thank you Dan for doing that for us. It turned out to be a great time saver. But thank you so much everyone for your questions. There's clearly a lot of interest and enthusiasm in this space. I'm super grateful to all of the presenters here today. Thank you for dialing in from all over Australia and the world. Jason, did you have anything to share before we leave?
Not apart from just thanking everyone for being here today. Thanks for the great questions, and to all of our panelists and for F&P for putting today on. It's been fantastic.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for everyone who came and watched today. We will be sending this round. This webinar will also go on our YouTube channel. And thank you to all of our panelists. We wish you the best of luck in your continuing success in this space. And thank you for sharing your insights with us. Thank you, everyone. Take care.